And we're ready to go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Karen. Welcome to yoga class. Yoga's Club of Rochester. My name is Julie. Um, One of the most important things to remember about yoga is to do what your body directs. So if something feels uncomfortable or painful, please don't do it. If your healthcare professionals have told you that there's certain movements that they rather you not do, don't do them. You can modify anything that we do here to suit your body. Yoga is not about having to do these perfect shapes in a certain way and look a certain way. It's how your body interprets these positions today, right now. So do what works for you and leave the rest of you. Okay? You have a lot of options for modifications for yoga. Next week, I'll be teaching yoga completely in the chair. This week, it's floor yoga. So if you would like to use a chair and modify there, please do. I can probably hop up and give you a few modifications that aren't obvious, so you can make that work for the chair. Or you can try a little bit on the floor and some in the chair, whatever works. Use blankets, cushions, pillows, blocks, or thick books in place of blocks to help you. Anything you've got is definitely helpful. Okay, anything that'll bridge the gap between your body and the floor is a good thing. So we usually start seated so that we can feel our breath. So if you think about it, most of the time that we're living, we are upright. We are seated, we are standing, we are moving. And being able to get a full breath is really important because we want to oxygenate our body all the way down to the cellular level. So getting a full breath is really important. So today, we're talking a little bit about elevation. So elevation, to rise up, to lift. Elevate can mean something different as well. We'll talk about what it means in our bodies physically, but also what about the way that we live, right? In the way that we live, our good intentions, we elevate those around us. Yes, I'm sure you are those people, or you know those people. By just being in their proximity, they lift you up, they elevate you. And that's a wonderful thing. The key to that is being authentic. Same thing happens with your physical body. You need to be authentic. In order to truly elevate, to feel lifted, to move yourself up to a different area, help other people, you need to be authentic in the fact that you also need to be rooted. So in order to elevate, you need to be able to root down. So you have to be grounded and supporting yourself in order to be elevated, to help elevate that. That makes sense. So in our yoga practice, we refer to that as rooting down to rise up. Okay, so that's what it is. In any of our yoga movements, where we lift our arms overhead, we stretch the sides of our waist, we lengthen our body, we're rooting down in one spot to stabilize it in order to rise up and lengthen through another. So we're just going to talk about that in practice today. All right. So we start seated because this is a great way to think of this. We all sit a lot. I'm sitting on the floor in a wide cross-legged position. Some people prefer to tuck their ankles underneath them. Some folks can bring their legs out front. And if it's really hard for you to sit on the floor, use a blanket or a cushion to sit up on. It will really help. If you're seated in a chair, go ahead and sit with your feet flat on the floor. The next thing you're going to want to do is take the flesh of your back end and widen it back behind you. Move it straight back behind you. Even in a chair, you can lean forward and scooch back a little bit, and then sit up straight. This widens you out through the pelvis so that now your pelvis is in an even position instead of maybe being tucked under. And you can feel that your tailbone doesn't tuck underneath you. So we move from this to this position. Does that make sense? And that happens even in the chair. Okay? So widen back your flesh of your back end. You can sit up nice and tall. You can feel your sit bones under all that flesh. And as your sit bones press down into the mat, into the floor, into your blanket, or into your chair, you can feel that you can rise up through the spine. So we root down through the hips, through the sit bones, so we can rise up through the spine. This gives us a nice tall posture without us having to strain too much. Because in our initial breathing, sure, we want to be alert and upright, but we don't want to be tense. So press down to the sit bones, reach up to the tops of your ears, and then take a nice in breath. And as you exhale, let it go. So it's as if you're draping your skin over the shape of your body, like a beautiful dress on a floor. Inhale. Exhale, let everything drape, let the shoulders roll back. So you can feel the legs in the spine. You can feel the pelvis moving down to the earth. You can reach up to the tops of the ears and crown of the head. breathing out softens and flows downward over the shape you create. You can even close your eyes. You can breathe in and out through your nostrils. I definitely recommend it because that'll help you focus on the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Just moving in your natural way. Whatever your natural pace of breath is, breathing in is just moving there. Let the change that you're doing fancy. The sneaky little key to meditation is not trying to change it, but judging it. Being critical. It's just noticing. Just being able to sit back and notice. Like it. This is how it feels in my body. There's my exhale. This is how it feels in my body. That's it. No judgment. Just notice where you feel the sensation of the breath. You may notice that with each inhalation, the belly softens a bit, kind of puffs out. And with each exhalation, the belly gently drops in. Or you may not notice that. So if you notice your breath crossing through the nostrils and back out. You may even notice with each exhale, your rib cage widens from side to side as the belly softens. And then with each exhale, the rib cage moves back into the original position. So I don't know, maybe one of these areas you notice sensation. You just need to bear witness to what's happening in your body. You don't need to think about it, or think about what our thoughts are about it. Just try to focus on the feelings. Even if you're feeling a little anxiety today, focus on lengthening your exhale just a little bit longer. Notice when you lengthen your exhales, how easily you inhale flows up out of the exhale. And that may be something that you're not aware of. It's your exhalation that creates the inhalation. Notice that? Take a moment now to breathe normally and think about what your intention for practice is today. The reason that you came here, the reason that you're on your mat, on your chair, ready to do it. What is your intention in life? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just focusing on that journey. That's all. And go. Open your eyes, activate yourself to get everything down here. And do some basic simple movements. I spoke about rooting down in order to rise up. So in order to elevate, we need to be grounded. So as you are sitting, whether your sit bones are on a blanket or the floor or a chair, let's really sit. Our pelvis is a bowl. So I'd like you to think about it that way. Your pelvis is a bowl. And if you think about it, you can tip one side of the bowl up higher than the other. You know, you can kind of tip one side of the bowl up higher than the other. You can also take the bowl and tilt it forward, like you're spilling cereal off the front edge of the cereal bowl, and then bring the bowl back to center, and then tip it back like tucking the tail bone. So these are movements as the pelvis. Since we do a lot of grounding through the pelvis, it's good to know how it moves. It tilts forward, think of it like a bowl. It tilts back. If you tilt up on one side and up on the other side. So it's good to know. So let's make some rounded motions now. Think of your spine as like a wooden spoon, and you're stirring the bowls, and stirring the spine around. And you're going to rock a little bit in your hips. You can do this seated in a chair on the floor. Doesn't care how big the your small glute med. It doesn't matter where your legs are. If your legs are up front, you can still do this. Just keep the spine upright as you move the axis of where the spine sits in to the pelvis. And then go in the opposite direction. So we can feel the grounding in the pelvis. We're able to move our spine around, which is awesome. It's an awesome feeling. Back to your tall seated position, wherever that may be. Again, pressing down the sit bones, move the flesh back. Good. And then let's inhale the arms up and exhale them down the heart center. Can you press down through the sit bones while you reach the arms up? I hope so. Yeah. And exhale. Want that good feeling of length up to the sides of our waist. It's all about that area between your armpits and your hip bones. It doesn't matter how high your arms go. It really doesn't. You don't have to go all the way up. That's not working for you today. It doesn't matter if the elbow is straight. That kind of stuff doesn't matter. This is all about feeling length in the waist. Feel that. Gorgeous. Now we're going to do a little bit of side bend. So if you're in a chair, you might want to hold one hand onto the seat of the chair or just place it on the seat of the chair. If you're on the floor, you can put your fingertips here. You're going to inhale, one palm up, and side bend. Again, this is about that area between your armpit and your hip. You don't worry about your arm. It's okay. All right, just keep your chest facing forward. And inhale and exhale to the other side. Exhale. You may notice one side is not easily moving. As well as the other side. And that's okay. It's all about noticing. Inhale and exhale. All about noticing. Inhale. Exhale. Go at your own pace. I breathe at my own pace. You breathe at your own pace. It's okay. Inhaling to switch. Exhale one more time. It's a great side stretch. Your spine, the healthy spine moves in all directions. I see this a lot. And so there are 6 basic movements of the spine that we try to practice, warm-ups, that we try to practice every time we practice yoga. And these are 2 of the movements of the spine. The side bend is right and to the left. Awesome. You can already feel a little bit longer. Place your hands on your rib cage, okay? When you are seated in a chair on the floor. And I want you to think, take a nice big inhale and an exhale. So if you lift up longer to the sides of your waist, the rib cage lifts up evenly. It doesn't poke forward at the top ribs or tuck way into the bottom ribs. The rib cage lifts up evenly lifts up away from the top of your pants, okay? And that's something that we're going to be doing a lot in class. So when the rib cage lifts up, we relax the shoulders down and release. You really feel very open from the chest. Let's take the hands in front of us, pressing one palm against the back of the other hand, pushing out and lifting up. Press down to the sit bones. Again, it's okay if you can't get your upper arms on either side of your ear. Don't worry about it. Just don't lift your chin. Try to keep your chin parallel. Now you have an option, feeling heavy and rooted through those sit bones, to reach over with both arms overhead. It's okay if you have to separate your fingers, okay? And inhale, center, and exhale, a little stretch. So the more we root down, the easier it is for us to raise up. And when you root down through the hips, you may feel your low belly engage in those muscles engage. Awesome. That's exactly how it should be. And inhale up. And exhale. Feel that. Gorgeous. Inhale up. And release. Oh, nice job. Just roll those shoulders down. A little bit of warming up here. Rolling up and back and down. I'm going to bring the arms to goalpost or cactus position. This position is real important to keep the shoulders away from the ears and the elbows heavy. Yeah. Inhale, here as you widen the elbows apart. Exhale, bring the elbows close together. And even if this is a small relief, it's still good. Inhale, open. Exhale. I know certain folks, depending on surgeries or treatments that they've had, this is a tough area, the front of the chest and the scar tissue. So go gently. Inhaling as you open. And think about not the front of your chest so much, but more the back, the upper back of your body. Inhale, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. And exhale, widening the shoulder blades away from each other. Inhale, opening up, squeezing the shoulder blades on the back. Exhale, widening the shoulder blades. right? We can yoga slow so we can really feel the muscles engaged and notice the different sensations in the body, not just let them pass us by. Inhale and exhale. Great job. Gorgeous. Sitting up tall again, pressing down through the sit bones, up through the tops of your feet, which is where the crown of the head is. Just relax. Shoulders back. Inhale here, exhale. One ear towards one shoulder. You can even tuck your chin a little bit down towards the knee. Just breathe. Let the weight of your head do. You don't have to pull. And then back to center. And up, inhaling. And exhaling the ear to the other shoulder. Nice and relaxed through the shoulders. Nice and relaxed through the shoulders. And you can turn the head a little bit down towards that knee. And back to center. It's another exercise that some folks like to do, and it kind of awakens their energies from the root of their body or from their pelvis or their sacrum, all the way up. So let's take these hands of ours, shake them. So sitting up nice and comfortable, just shake them. I'm going to ask you to lift up really high. And shake. There you go. So you're going to want to move your whole body. So you can go ahead and pulse a little bit with your body. Shaking those hands, shaking those hands. Breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let's bring your arms down. Now we're going to take what is called a three-part breath. So hands go out front. As you inhale, keep inhaling, and exhale. Inhaling, 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 exhale, press. Gorgeous. Inhale, 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 exhale, press. All the way up. Great job. One more. Inhale, 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 exhale, press. And leave the arms behind you for a moment. Just gently squeezing your shoulder blades toward each other. And maybe you can even bring your thumbs together. Or if you're in a chair, you can hold on to the back of the chair. Just breathing. See if you can let the front of the body, the chest, open and soften. And great job. Awesome. So now we're going to do some leg stretching. So lay down on your mat on your back. If you are seated, you can stay seated. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring an alternating knee towards your chest. Okay? So then we do a little stretching of the other thighs. So if you're on the floor, please come down one vertebrae at a time. Take your time. You know, you're in a chair, you sit up nice and tall towards the front third of the chair. So gently, we're just going to inhale our arms up and exhale our right knee in towards our chest. You can do that if you are seated. And then switch with the right foot down, inhale up, and exhale the left knee towards your chest. Then you're just going to go back and forth. You can do that if you're sitting tall in a chair. Try to keep your back tall when you bring your knee in towards your chest. So if you're seated, don't bring your chest to your knee. Bring your knee towards your chest. And it's okay if it doesn't get up there very far. It's okay. All right? You're just kind of stretching the back of the hips a bit by bringing the knee in towards your chest. And okay. So both feet on the floor. If you are seated, both feet on the floor. If you are seated, you're going to lengthen your right leg out with your heel down on the floor and your toes up. If you are lying down, you're going to bring your right knee in and lengthen your leg towards the ceiling. So you've got two different things going on, but you're stretching your hands. So if you're laying on the floor, your leg's in the air. If you are seated, stretch your right leg out straight with your right heel on the floor. Both of these poses are the same in that even if you can't unbend your knee, you can move your toes down towards your chest. Okay. So you have one straight leg. Seated. If you're lying down here, you can circle the ankle one direction or another. If you're seated, you can bend that right knee, pick the foot up off the floor a little bit again. Just get a little move with the ankle, squeeze your toes, and then once again, stretch that right leg straight. If you're lying down, your hands maybe behind your thigh, you maybe use a strap on the bottom of the foot. If you are seated, you have your right leg lengthened down in front of you with your right heel on the floor. Awesome. So the next one that we're going to do is another stretch for the hip. It's called half of happy baby. So if you are on the floor, you're going to put your right hand underneath your right thigh, and you're going to bend the right knee and widen the right thigh out to the side, and then flatten the bottom of the foot to the side. So it's like half a squat. Now, if you are seated, it's going to look like this. Okay, just the one leg out to the side. Okay. All right, so here we go. We have happy baby here. It's just a way to stretch the outer hip, stretch the back of the hip. Good job. Just kind of let the knee and the thigh sink down. If you're seated, you want that leg over to the side. And then you can release. Nice job. Now we're going to work on the other leg. So we're going to bring the left knee in towards our chest and extend the left leg up. So if you are seated now, you're going to stretch the left leg out in front of you with the left heel on the floor, the toe is down. Just notice how this feels. If you have to bend and unbend a couple times, it feels good. My dad had knee arthritis like I do now. And I remember as a kid, he was always kind of bending and unbending his knees, shaking my own. So that's, you know, I do that a lot now. It reminds me of my pop, which is good. And then take that moment and circle the ankle, the toes. You know, squeeze your toes, and stretch them out, point your flex, whatever works for you. Circles. And then once again, straighten the leg, just the best that you can. So it's okay if the knee stays a little bent, but kind of think about reaching the toes up towards your heart. Reach the toes towards your heart. Whether you're seated in a chair with your leg out in front of you, or whether you're lying down to stay. Just breathe. Maybe you notice that when you straighten the leg like this, the muscle on the front of your thigh squeezes. Notice that? If you squeeze this quadricep muscle, it helps straighten the leg. Press through the heel, let the toes stretch down towards the chest. Now we're going to move into that half of happy baby. So we're going to bend this left knee, widen it out to the left, and let the bottom of your foot face the ceiling. It's like a half a squat. And again, if you are seated, you're just going to widen that left leg out to the side. This is called half of happy baby. Happy baby is also called balasana pose. Some people refer to this as not happy baby. They refer to this pose as dead bug or the birthing pose. I prefer happy baby personally. You're just letting, if you're lying on the floor, you're just letting gravity help that left knee go down towards the ground and flatten the bottom of the foot towards. Release that. Ooh, great job. Very good, very good. You can bring both knees into your chest if you're lying down. If you're seated, you can bring in one knee and then the other. Okay? Just going to bring both legs in. Just rock a little bit. You're seated. Hug one knee in, and then hug the other knee. Okay? And feel your lower back stretching. You should really get a little rounding in this. Okay? A little bit of rounding in the lower back. Okay, so now we're going to do windshield wiper pose. We're going to place the feet on the floor and walk them very far apart. So my feet and my knees are very far apart from each other. Okay, I'm going to inhale here and exhale both knees to one side. So if you're in a chair, it's going to look more like a lunge. Okay, so in a chair, it's going to look this way. That makes sense. Okay, it's a big opener for the thigh. Hold it. Drawing the knee down to the ground, lifting up to the heart. okay? You're gonna hold it on that side for 5 breaths or so before you move to the other side. Okay. Far apart. Nice. And you're gonna feel a stretch in the front of the hip. If you're seated doing this stretch, you're stretching that bent knee down towards the ground. If you're lying down, just bringing the knees over to the side is going to encourage a stretch in the hips and the thighs. And then when you're ready, you bring those knees up and go the other direction. If you're seated, you're going to take the other knees. And you want to feel this big stretch in the front of the hip and thigh. So it's okay if your legs are closer together, if you can't get over that far. As long as you feel your pelvis rock off the floor on this left side, you feel a stretch in the front of the left hip and thigh, that's all right now. It's a very easy thigh stretch to do. And then we're going to do this again. We're going to get on. And then you inhale, come on, back to the center position. Okay. So we're going to go to the other side once again. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale here, exhale both knees to the left. So now you're getting that big left stretch, in front of the left, excuse me, the right stretch in front of the right hip. So if you're seated in a chair, you're turning to the left and your right leg is back. Keep stretching the knee towards the ground if you're in a chair. Or hold this position here. So now while we're here, this is, I can feel the stretch in the front of my right thigh and hip. I'm going to reach my right arm overhead. You can do that if you're seated. Yep. Really feel the stretch now from the knee all the way through the armpit. Yep. This is huge. You know, these muscles in the side body, your intercostals, the muscles that run along the rib cage, they get sticky. You know, things happen to you. You tend to lean to one side, or I sit in the same position on the end of the couch and notice that my right side was shorter than my left because I tuck my feet over to the right and I always sit in the same position on the same part of the couch. So I need to change my sitting position so that I would stop shortening my body. So there could be all kinds of reasons why you have stickiness or less length on one side. Okay, let's bring that up now. Now we're going to switch to the other side. You have your legs up and come back to the front of your chair, and then exhale as you turn to the other side. Now we're going to get that big stretch in the front of the other hip. Give a stretch, give yourself where you can do this. You'll notice too that, you know, we're stretching in front of the left hip and thigh. The left butt cheek is off the floor. And that's okay because your pelvis is a bowl, right? So it has to rock. When you're ready, inhale that left arm up overhead. So now you can feel the stretch from the left armpit all the way through the left knee. If you're seated, you want to reach that knee down towards the ground. And back down towards the ground. Feel that stretch. If you're seated, you can even pull the belly button in a little bit to feel that stretch more as well. Just breathe. Breathe as if you're only breathing into your left lung. Think about, I'm breathing, but I'm going to breathe more into my left lung. See how that feels. You may feel it differently on the left side. There's a reason, right? You have less capacity in your left lung. Why is that? Because there's other important organs over there. Okay, let me go here. So bring that down, back up to center. Good job, good job. All right, so lean down, rise up. Bridge pose is a great way to do that. Okay, and bridge pose is basically a back bend. So in bridge pose, ankles underneath the knees, feet or hips width apart. Bring your arms to your sides like a robot. And you can do this in your chair, but you have to sit towards the front edge of your chair. Feet on the floor, ankles underneath the knees. Bring the arms to your sides like a robot. If you're laying on the floor, you're going to push these upper arms and elbows into the floor to see if you can kind of hug together your shoulder blades underneath. So it's as if someone had put like a small tangerine right under my upper back, right behind my heart, and pressing it forward. So you want to take the sternum and reach it up towards the ceiling as you press down to the upper arms and elbows. So if you are seated in a chair, it's going to look like this. Don't worry about dropping the head back. Only let it go back as far as it's going to go. Okay? So you put on the floor now. And once you have that lift happening, if you're on the floor, you can lift the hips up. Can't quite do that in the chair. Okay? It's just not going to happen in the chair. But you can lean back slightly in the chair and continue to lift the sternum. So you definitely have that option, in your chair. Maybe back just a little bit more, or maybe even placing your hands on the back of the chair. So you can lean back a little bit more, or your back. Okay. So you're in that bridge pose. And in bridge pose, a lot of people squeeze their butt. They think it's about lifting their butt, but right? It's not. It's about pressing into your feet, stretching through the knees to help lift the whole pelvic area. And then drawing the shoulder blades underneath. With your heart. Sit back then. And then gently release that. Shoulders relax a little bit. Awesome. So now we're going to do just some basic twisting. So if you're on the floor, we're going to move our legs over to the sides. If you're in a chair, you're going to turn your waist sides. Not going to turn your torso. Okay, you're not going to move your legs, you're going to move your chest. Okay? So inhaling here and exhaling. You have an option. Okay, those of you on the floor, you keep your feet on the floor as you twist your knees together from one side to the other. Or you can take your feet off the floor, hug them in your thighs, and bring the knees over to the side. Exhale, over to the other side. So feet on the floor or not. If you're in the chair, you're just turning your torso away from your legs. Okay? So either way, depending on how you decide if you want to twist, right? See if you can get the shoulder blades to be strong, so you can keep the length in the spine and some engagement. Inhale here, exhale as you twist to one side, exhale. Really feel it go. And if you're in a chair and you're turning your waist away from your legs, go ahead and look back over your shoulder too. If it feels good. Make it a whole twist. If you're on the floor, your chest faces the ceiling. If you're seated, when you come back to center, you inhale. And then you twist, you exhale. When you're lying down, you move everything on the exhale. Your legs are so fast. I'm going to inhale here. Exhale, squeeze my belly, squeeze my inner thighs, bring my legs back up. Whew. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Inhale here. And exhale. Now, you may want to lift your feet off the floor, but you can't relax your knees on the floor when you get to one side. Put your blanket there. Put your blanket there. I'll show you on this side. Sometimes when I'm not feeling as flexible as other times, I will use a blanket or a pillow underneath my knees. If they don't quite touch me. Okay? Let's go. You're in a chair, you just take your time, twisting from side to side. Let the heart be open. Notice how the abdominals feel. Relax the front of the chest. Awesome. Then exhalation if you're on the floor, or inhalation if you're sitting up. So, okay. So, root down, rise up. All right, so we have to practice this a little bit, okay? So let's roll over onto our sides. If we're on the floor with our knees back, pull our belly button in to help bring ourselves up to the side. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of all fours. So you'll get that feeling of pressing away from the earth, what you're rooting down into, as you can elevate and lift the other parts of your body. Okay. So if you come to all fours, you can. Heels of the palms underneath the shoulders, right? So we want the heels of the palms to line up with the front edge of the shoulder. So I don't want my wrist right under my shoulder. A little too much pressure. Okay. Knees underneath my hips. Do a little cat-cow. You can also do these seated if you sit toward the front edge of your chair. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, let the belly hang down and soften, and lift the tailbone way up. So you're arching the back of your body, squeezing all the muscles in your back body. Stretch your leg, all your back muscles, squeeze. And on the next inhale, press into your fingernails and inflate. Tuck your tailbone underneath, round your spine up towards the sky, relax your head down. you go back and forth. Inhale, shoulders roll back, tailbone lift, cow pose. On the next inhale, cat pose. Press through the fingernails. Lift up your spine. Relax your head. Keep it down, down, down. And then you can move back and forth any way you want to. Some folks like to inhale on the cow pose. Exhale on the cat pose. Inhale. Do it with inhale and exhale. Hold each one. Try not to put all the weight into the heels of your palms if you're on all fours on the floor. So the other two of the 6 movements of the spine, right? Flexion and extension. We did side bending, and back extension. And we also did twisting side to side. All 6 of the movements of the spine. So from this all fours position, we're going to do a little bit of that, move down to rise up, so a little bit more forceful here, okay? If you need to take a moment to take the pressure off your hands at any time when you're in the all fours position, go ahead and do so, okay? Okay. So just basically, and you can tuck your toes under if you feel you need to, but for me, that puts pressure on the front of my kneecap, which is not comfortable for my knees. So I put the tops of my feet down so the pressure moves to the top of my chin. So you can experiment with that. Apart. I'm going to inhale and exhale, and on the next inhalation, I'm going to lift my right arm up and my left leg go behind, toes facing down. So I'm pressing down into the earth with the shin and the hand so that I can lift my waist up, 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 lifting the front of my body up in towards my spine. Here, that's it. If you are seated in a chair, you would lift, sit up tall, lift one knee and the opposite arm. Okay? Great balance. Back down, I'm going to do the other side. When you're ready, I'm going to do inhalation. Up goes the left arm. And exhale, up goes the right. Toes point down on this side. Okay? Push away from the ground. What's touching the ground? Root down to the earth. Lift the whole front of the waist into your chest. Breathe. And great job. Go ahead and sit back. Bring your hips back. If you're seated in a chair, basically, you would forward bend your torso and relax your forearms and elbows on your thighs. Just pull down. If you're on the mat, your toes together, you can slide your knees apart. And relax. I will stack one fist upon the other and rest my foot over there. Back off. So I'm going to ask you to do next is turn side on your mat. So I'd like to work for just a few breaths on something called gate pose. So we come up onto our knees. So if you're able to do this, if not, this gate pose can be somewhat modified in this way. One knee down, one leg up. Yep, so you definitely take your gate pose in that way. It won't feel exactly the same because you're not going to be able to add the same lift, but it's okay. So from gate pose on the knees, you take one foot up. So you have that foot is perpendicular with the back edge of your mat, so you're on the inner edge of the foot. Then you have your hands up. You're going to exhale and bringing my right hand down to my right thigh and reaching over. Yep. So you're getting a nice stretch from the inner thigh. You're continuing to lengthen. Where are you rooting down? For me, I'm rooting down through my knee, right, to my back shin. I'm rooting down through this right foot. Help me with lift. Now, those of you who are working on the floor, you have the option of adding on. You can bring the arms here. And then bring one hand over and lift that. Okay? So this is an option. You don't have to take it, right? You have to do it. And then release. Come on up. Yay! Okay, let's stop. You can always always pad your knees. If you have a blanket or something nearby, you can always pad your knees. So you're doing these poses. Now we're going to go to the other leg. So, foot up. Just foot down. Good. Give yourself a little anchor there. Now you can see how everything's lined up, my hip and my knee. So inhale this arm up, walk the left hand on the left side. Good. Nice length, the sides of the waist is so good, right? Oh, good. Root down from your foot, and your shin. Reach up a little bit more length. And inhale. Maybe that's something here. Maybe. maybe not. Pressing up this foot, pushing with earth. What's touching the earth? Really lift, feel elevated. Awesome. And then breathe. Great job. Awesome. Moving down to rise up. There are many standing poses that we can experience this. Okay? But I'm just going to practice one balancing pose because I think that it's very important. Rooting down and rising up is how we balance as well. So it's kind of nice to bring it into something that fits into everyday life. Now we have an option here to move into all fours. And then step up. So let's try the lunge posing, right? We're going to lunge. Inhale here. Exhale, pull the belly in. Step forward to the right thumb. If you have blocks underneath your hands, okay. Lengthen through the spine. Awesome. If you want, you can practice tucking your toes under and extend. If you're upright in a chair, you can just hold onto your chair and come into it. The back of the straight. Okay? Or the side. Awesome. So I'm going to bring my knees to the ground and step my front foot back like I do my other leg. It's always great to do a little bit of lunge, a little bit of that asymmetrical giggle, move to the other side. Come all fours, inhale and exhale. Hug the left knee in, bring the left foot forward to the left thumb. On the fingertips, pull the shoulders back, let the spine reach your blocks. And then if you want to experience this, tuck the head toes under and extend. Make this pose more comfortable. Use blocks under your hand, walk the left foot out. If you're standing with behind your chair, next to your chair, nice length, pressing down into the earth, what's touching the earth, pushing away, there's a length into the spine. I'm going to bring this knee down. So the next thing I'd like to do is to bring my feet together. Just a little bit of a challenge. Make sure you're on an exhale. Move here. Exhale. Step the next foot. If you're using a chair, you can go ahead and get your hands on the floor. You can have your hands on the chair. Okay, this is called Uttanasana or forward bend. So you can be forward bending with your hands on the chair, back to your chair seat, your fingertips on your shins, or if you have yoga blocks, place on a blanket or come up with this. So you just bend one knee and bend the other. I'd like you to bend the right knee more than the left and walk your hands over to the right. You'll feel a nice stretch there. Let your Q out. Runs through the back body instead of running up and down like you're going to live across that lower third. And inhale back to center. Now you're going to bend your left knee more than your right and walk your hands over to the left. Head blocks, so you're using a chair. So this stretch should be felt from those hands to the back of your head. Place both hands on your thighs now and extend the sides of your waist forward. So is it really about straightening knees completely? No, but you'll notice you want to line up your hips over your ankles. And I'd like my back to be neutral and long, not hunched over. And then when I'm ready, I push through my heels, press my chest into my back. We'll just practice it a couple times. Because rooting down through the feet or through the hips also engages the abdominals. So if I inhale my arms up, and I want to exhale to that forward bend, maybe with my hands on the chair. And I'm going to exhale. I'm going to have a nice flat back. So I'm really keeping my abdominals moving up into my spine. And then as I get closer to the floor, my spine rounds. And that's okay. That's correct. It's supposed to be. And then once again, inhale, hands on the thighs. Lengthen the spine and pull the belly up into the spine. And on the next inhale, down to the heels, chest up, inhale up. So even if I'm using a chair, it's all good. Yeah. Okay. And then come up to your standing position. So one of the iconic balancing positions in yoga is tree pose. Tree pose is tough. So if you have a chair, have it nearby. You can do the pose behind the chair. It's right there. So that's rooting down. But you have little feet compared to the rest of your body. Okay, I have really big feet, but in comparison, you have little feet compared to the rest of your body. So how can you root down and be grounded with just one little foot on it? Well, it's your whole pelvis. So put your hands on your hips, take a minute. So this is the bowl of your pelvis. And you want the bowl of your pelvis to be even, not to be tucked under, not to be tilted too far. So you want the bowl of your pelvis to be even. This makes a very, very big difference in how we balance, how we stand. So in Tadasana pose with our pelvis nice and even, we relax the arms. Our feet are about hip width apart, and our feet are parallel, they're not turned out. Reach up to the tops of your ears so your chin becomes parallel. And then think about leaning the shoulder joints back just a little. So I'm not asking you to squeeze your shoulder joints back. I'm asking you to lean them back so they line up over your hips. Squeeze the thigh muscles a bit so you're pressing your thigh bones back. Keep reaching up, move the top of the ears, and move the back of the skull straight back. See if you can soften the hands. You're going to feel a lot of work in the heels of your feet and just a little squeezing in the toes. That's okay. Your spine is neutral, beautiful curves. And it's from this neutral place that we practice Mursasana or tree pose. I'm going to shift my weight over to my right leg and come up on my left toes. Now, because I have knee arthritis, if I don't want to have my knees and my toes totally forward here, I can turn them out a little bit. So I can turn them out just a little bit like the big toes would, the knees and the toes together. Then I can balance up. But if you're able to balance with the foot, put it straight forward, go ahead and give it a shot. Okay? So holding on to the rim of the pelvis so it stays even. You bring the one foot in. Toes can stay on the floor, heel on the upper ankle. Now what we don't want to happen is this. Okay? Shortening, like we want even Steven, nice lifted rib cage, nice even pelvis. And some folks can bring their foot to the inside of their calf. Not your knee joint, but your calf. You bring your hands to heart center, or one hand to heart center, the other hand on the chair, or the couch, or whatever. This knee, don't worry about it. What we just don't want the hips to be tilted. That's the hips nice and even. It doesn't matter how wide your knee is at all. Okay? Just take a few breaths. Root down through the foot. Root down to that heavy neutral pelvis. Reach up to the sides of the waist. You want you to reach the arms up. Awesome. Good job. Here's another leg. Again, when I go to balance on my right leg, I'm going to turn out slightly with the right knee and the right toes because of my arthritis. You don't have to. It's really up to you. You definitely do it in a front position. So we're going to bring the heel in, the toes on the floor. Notice what happens to the hips. We don't want this to happen. So keep the hips nice and even. Lift the low belly up and in a bit so you have some action. And then if you want, you can try to practice taking the foot to the inside of the calf or not. You have to. Okay? Hold back in the chair, whatever works. can stay right here and practice your balance. Root down to what's touching the ground. Root down to the heavy hips and rise up the torso. Get grounded. And if you want to, even raise your hands. Woo! Any way to do that. I'm going to sort of my balance today. Strange. And okay, so that's kind of an iconic balancing pose in yoga. And it's okay. It's all right. There's one more I'd like to do. So if you have a chair, you could stand alongside the back of the chair, holding the chair if you like. If not, you can use a counter or even a chair in front of you. So a lot of ways of this can be done. I'll show you. Stand here with the chair. Inhale the arms up. And with your exhale the hands to the chair. Or you can stand here. If you have a choice. Your arms can be behind you as you're standing up tall, or you can have your fingertips on the chair if you have one nearby, or a counter. Press those feet, up, up, and exhale. All right, so now we're going to do it again. But we're going to leave one foot on the floor and raise the other leg back up behind us, okay? So inhale, thumbs up. As you exhale, you can bring your hands to a chair if you have them, or to your sides. And you're going to balance on one leg and lift the other leg, toes pointing down. And this is great if you can do it. Squeeze the shoulder blades. You may be able to use the back of the chair for this as well. Just pressing down with the standing leg. Squeezing to lift the other leg up. And up with the chest and down. There's another leg. Let's try the other side. Again, you don't have to use a chair or a countertop. You can just stand and practice your balance. Up. That's hinge and lift the back leg. So again, if I'm not using the chair, I may have my back toes on the floor. Just practice a little bit and come back down. And that's all right. Squeezing the shoulder blades, reaching, straightening the standing leg, hug the muscles of the legs, up and in towards the pelvis. Give the pelvis a little bit of help. Breathe. And then breathe right down the chest. Great job. Great job. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now we're going to come back to the floor so we can finish with our resting posture. A little bit more stretching, okay? Mat. Feet can be a little wider than hips width. Inhale up. Oh, nice big stretch. Exhale, fold the back stays flat, 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 flat. So you get close to the floor and back round. So the knees bend. This is okay. Then we'll need another. When you're ready, bend both knees and step back. Of course, we're going to come down to lying down. One of these. So we want our hips to be able to ground us, the heavy muscles of our legs. But sometimes when certain muscles are weak or tight in the hip area, it kind of throws off our whole balance. It throws off our alignment. So we have to make sure that, especially the strong muscles that we have here along the outer hip, that we stretch them. So I'm going to bring the right knee towards the chest and place the right foot and ankle over the top of the left thigh and widen out. If you're seated in a chair, it looks the same way. You're sitting and you bring one knee up and place the other foot and ankle across the top of your back. If you're unable to do that, okay, seated, you can cross your legs or cross at the ankle. Okay? So in this position, the point is widening the knee out to the side. That's all. Just going to widen that knee out to the side. Spread the toes on this lifted foot. Press the ankle against the opposite thigh so you can stretch this knee out to the side. Some folks like to make this a deeper stretch, which you can't do while you are seated, but you can do if you're lying down. You can bring that off. Okay, if you are seated, what you would do instead is inhale and hinge forward towards your legs, as if you were going to forward bend with your legs if you are seated. And you'll notice that this is a very strong stretch. You may not be able to do too much. Just holding it may be challenging. That's okay. Just breathe. And then we're going to switch legs. leg over and across the opposite thigh, widen the knee out to the side. So my left knee is widening up, my left foot is very bright, the toes are spreading, and flexing my foot. And again, if you are seated, you would take the same position, okay? Or you could just cross the legs if that's more comfortable for you if you're seated, or you could cross it with ankle if you're seated, okay? But the point of any of those positions is to widen the knee out to the side and rest between. So you can feel a stretch in the upper hip. And again, if you're on the floor, you have the option to lift the opposite leg. But be careful with these, right? Keep your feet right and your toes spreading so you can keep our ankles and knees like that. And just see a few breaths if you can widen that knee out to the side a little bit more each time you rest. Great place. Let's breathe. And when you're ready, you can release that stretch. Whatever feels comfortable to you. Knees into your chest, a little twisting. Whatever you think would feel good to you. Roll your shoulders back, a little bit more neck stretching. Whatever works for you. And then we come back into resting pose. If you're in a chair, it's more of a constructive resting pose. So if you're in a chair, you really want to lean forward and widen your tuchus back as far as it'll go. And then sit up tall. So you're still not probably going to be leaning against the back of the chair. You put a cushion there. On the floor, however, when we lay on the floor, our spine aligns naturally. So if you want to rest now in Shavasana, you can stretch your legs out. If you are seated, just make comfortable, feet hips width apart, ankles underneath your knees. Relax your hands on your thighs if you are seated. And then maybe started. If you are seated. If you're lying down, you may not want to straighten your legs out like I am. You may want to keep your knees back because it feels better on your back. Walk your feet, or just knock your knees up. Feet apart, knees up. That'll make it more restful for you. Relaxing comes out, whichever one that you've chosen. Just kind of stop a little bit, rock a little bit so you get able to soften. If you're seated, you're still rising up gently through the top of your feet, moving on to the sit bones. Take some big inhales and exhales, everybody. And just let everything soften down. With each breath, the movement of a clean sheet. Imagine you have a clean sheet of big breaths. As you inhale, you lift the sheet up by the thumbs, it floats up into the air. And as you exhale, the sheet floats down evenly and smoothly to cover the surface of the face. If your chin too much, the land floor, you don't want your chin to get higher up than your forehead. You're seated, you get underneath your chin. Your line is not focusing on the breaths, inhaling, you lift up the corners of that big sheet, it fills up into the air. Exhale, the sheet gently settles itself down. Sleep itself. That visualization. Just don't imagine the big sheet because it has each inhale and exhale. Rest on your side for a breath or two. Remember when you get up from bed or you're rolling over in bed, you're getting up like this, you really have to use your belly. So, oh my belly. All right. Great job. Great job. Thank you for joining me for yoga practice today. I hope you have a good for the rest of the day. My name is Julie. You honor me by sharing your practice with me. I honor the divine teachings and all of you. May we all find peace no matter what we are doing. Namaste. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Next Thursday will be chair yoga. So bring your chair. Yeah, I just hit stop. He didn't stop.